It's the Sleepers Podcast. Happy Monday, everybody. It is Monday, July 22nd, and Brian Rauf is in the house with us today, subbing in for Carter Elliott. As we speak, we're recording this Friday morning. Carter Elliott is on the road to my house because we are playing golf today with the Swing Happy guys. As you can see, I got Sleepers golf shirt on. There's a white version of this, I think, on the floor over there. You can buy these. We're going to tweet out links for these. We got, I think, like 30 of these in stock that we can ship out as soon as people order them. So, yeah, exciting stuff. We're playing golf with these Swing Happy folks that made these shirts for us, and we're going to be doing some giveaways. If Carter and I win, the Swing Happy guys have to buy some shirts for our people. If we lose, we have to buy some shirts for their people. Should be an all-around fun day. But more importantly, Cart got to duck an episode. I'm sure he's very excited about that. How do you feel about joining the show today, Brian?
I'm very excited. I made this point when it was me and Carter. Feels like I'm getting called up for a 10-day contract every time they get on these. And the 10-day contract salaries are much more lucrative than the G League ones. So very, very appreciative. Very, very happy to be here, Coach.
We can't wait. Yeah, we have a superstar in the G League right now. You keep earning opportunities, Brian. Okay, we'll try and be relatively quick this morning as we are getting out to golf in just a little bit. We'll start with a YouTube comment of the day. I'll pull one up here. Let's see. Yeah, as Cart would say.
While we wait, I think it's very ironic that you had to have a white version of those polos. You couldn't just go with the black ones.
Hey, breathe. Breathe.
They're very slick looking, by the way. I mean, I need to get my hands on one of those.
Okay, here's a comment.
If you're listening and not watching.
Oh, I am listening.
They're slick looking polos. I'm talking to our listeners. If you're listening and not watching on YouTube, they're very slick looking. I need to get my hands on one of those.
We'll tweet out the link later today. I'm gonna send you and Riley one. You guys deserve one. Okay, here's a comment from at Fly Illini Fly. This is on our Caden Boozer is now considering Illinois video from yesterday. He says no one within the program cares that them targeting 5 stars gets you two so irritated. And then he put a timestamp 10 minutes in the video, said, then quit making 10 to 20 minute videos on it every single time. Last time I checked, this is your channel and no one's forcing you. Yeah, I'd like to respond to that. It is my
channel. Go ahead.
It is my channel and nobody's forcing us. So we will talk about what we want to talk about. Fly Illini Fly. I don't expect that anyone within Illinois' program cares. I don't make content for the people within Illinois' program. That's not what I do. Like, I don't have any expectation that anyone on any staff in America pays attention to us. So that's not what this is about. I think Illinois fans were flustered because I had a rant yesterday that was like, look, Orlando Antique was killing it. And I literally said he's the most valuable assistant coach in the country. But also, I can't keep doing this dance every 2 weeks where he introduces a new top 10 recruit who's not going to go to Illinois. Like, Caden Boozer is not going to go to Illinois. So I don't want to do the dance here of like, oh, he got on a Zoom call. Yay, look at the momentum. It's Caden Boozer. Caden Boozer's probably going to go play with his brother at a Blue Blood. He's not going to Illinois as a solo option. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that. And we just did Jasper Johnson 2 weeks ago. And Jasper hasn't been serious about Illinois, even though he visited Illinois. So look, all I'm trying to say, and people pointed this out. Oh, well, we just got Will Riley. Greg, are you stupid? Did you not pay attention? The circumstances of Will Riley are so different than the circumstances of Jasper Johnson and Caden Boozer. Like, Will Riley wanted to reclassify and go to a team that had whiffed on their other targets. That's why he ended up at Illinois. So if Jasper Johnson wanted to go to 24 and go to a team that didn't have a guard, then he would. That's not what happened here. Everybody breathe. I don't make content for Illinois staff, and you're allowed to disagree. It's fine.
There's something to be said for having your name attached and your school attached to some of those higher end guys. I don't think there's a ton of value in that, but I think there's some, and I think that's Illinois strategy is just, oh, we're in the mix here.
Yeah.
See what doors that opens.
Yeah, 100% is valuable. This is why I'm super high on how important Orlando Antigua is. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Illinois has a real shot at Caden Boozer. You have to be incredibly naive to act like that's a real thing. And
Illinois is the greatest school in the universe, and they have a shot at everybody.
You're right, Brian. You're so extremely right. Okay. let's move on. Let's go to the Discord. The first Discord comment today comes from Sleeve Nash, who is an Illinois fan and wants to fight me like many of the other Illinois fans. In fact, we went back and forth in the comments much of yesterday, so I'm gonna have to sort through a lot of this. Oh,
The
where
Discord was going nuts yesterday.
it was a big day in the Discord. Join the Discord, by the way, if you want to be a part of some wild discussions in the Discord. They're happening on a daily basis. We're in mid-season form. Sleeve Nash says Greg is so high on Danny Wolf and has been on record saying he has star potential. But when someone brings up Tomislav Ivisic, Greg just brushes him off like, he'll be all right. I'm wondering why you don't feel the same way about Big T. I honestly feel like their skill set is very similar, but Big T did it against far better competition. I'm willing to do a friendly Sleeve versus Greg bet on who will have the better season. I'll let you answer this first. Why would someone be high on Danny Wolf but not high on Tomislav Ivisic?
Because Danny Wolf is better. to put it simply, Danny Wolf is better. His team made the second round of the NCAA tournament. He produced okay against Auburn.
Yeah. I went back and forth with Sleeve already. For those that are not in the Discord and want my thoughts on this, look, I agree with the point that Tomislav's skill sets may end up looking similar to Danny Wolf. If Tomislav hits, he is a 7-foot big man that can shoot it, that can do a little bit off the dribble. That is Danny Wolf, and that is exciting. Why would me or anyone be higher on Danny Wolf than Tomislav? Well, because Danny Wolf was the second best player in the Ivy League, went to the round of 32, and has proven that he is a college basketball star worth building around. Tomislav Ivisic averaged 7 points and 3.8 rebounds for SC Derby last year. I don't know where SC Derby plays, but if you want to act like that's way better competition than what Danny Wolf saw in the Ivy League, fine. Danny Wolf had some solid performances last year. He had 4 blocks against Kansas and Fog Allen. So, look, before Michigan was targeting Danny Wolf, I'm quoted back in the NCAA tournament last year of saying I think he's going to be like Duke's starting center next year. Like, I assumed all the Blue Bloods would want him. I'm ecstatic that my program got him, and all the signs point towards him being great because all the buzz from the offseason is that he's been the best player in the gym every time he stepped in the gym. So maybe I'm wrong, but it's not maize and blue colored glasses because I went through every other player in the class. I'm down on a lot of them. Like, I'm high on Danny because I think it's warranted, and maybe Tomislav is great, but he's going to need to average more than 7 and 3.8 rebounds. Like, can he be at least good wherever he is first before we act like he's special? By the way, his brother, who everyone says is better than him, stunk for Kentucky last year.
There also is not a if he hits qualifier attached to Danny Wolf, right?
Right. Yeah, if I was looking for a guy to average 7 and 3 for SC Derby, I would say Tomislav is the guy. I don't know if Danny can do that. But if I'm looking for a guy to be a college star, I would say the college star is the guy. And I don't know if Tom can do that. Ooh. Jay Hart says, in reference to the Fletcher Lawyer question, what Big Ten programs would Indiana trade the last 10 years of success with?
Rutgers.
I think Indiana would trade with like 11 of the now 18 Big Ten programs for the last decade.
Who wouldn't they trade with the last 10 years? That list might be shorter.
Penn State, Minnesota, Northwestern. That's kind of close though, honestly.
Right? Washington, but Washington did have back-to-back Pac-12 titles the last 10 years.
Right. USC, maybe. USC is probably close.
USC with the Mobley brothers though, like had an Elite 8, didn't they?
I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong though. I
may have
completely blocked that out.
Andy Enfield had some surprising success. Let's fire up the old Google machine here.
I
think I would take USC.
There's a topic that is coming from an Indiana discussion later in the show that we'll flesh this out a little more. But yeah, Indiana's underwhelmed more than they should. Guy says one of the biggest questions in college basketball is who would make the Final Four in 2020 if the season wasn't canceled. My 4 are Penn State, San Diego State, Baylor, and the Dayton Flyers as his national champions. Penn State? Guy, what are we doing? What is this, Brian? What would your final four teams have been in the COVID year?
First off, USC did make the Elite Eight in 2021.
Wow.
So I think you'd take that. I actually ran a simulation on College Hoops 2K8 using rosters from that season back when I was writing for Brustling Brackets when this happened. Um, from what I recall, Oregon won the national championship. Peyton Pritchard was fantastic. Providence made a run to the Final Four that year, as well as the 7 seed, I think is
Wow.
what they were slotted to be. Selfishly, I'd throw Seton Hall in there because I was a Miles Powell and still am a Miles Powell stan. And Kansas, because Kansas was awesome that year.
Yeah. Okay. Good pull. By the way, you got to tap into what Brian Ralph's doing on the simulation game. Like my man is out here. Like
There were no. What else you got to do in peak COVID?
I'm just upset I didn't become friends with you sooner in life because there's so many things that you and I are wired the same way on. Let's see here. Jay Hart is back. He says, "What are your top 5 Big Ten point guards?" Assuming Kasparis Yakashonis acts as Illinois' main ball handler next year. His list: Braden Smith 1, Dylan Harper 2, Kasparis 3, Bruce Thornton 4, Ace Bailey 5. I don't think you can put Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper both on there. But the first 4 I think are definitely on there. You got any other order or names?
Other than I think Dylan Harper has to be 1 because I love Dylan Harper's game. I think you could debate the 5th one, and there are a number that I could see. I don't feel strongly about really a 5th, but I feel good about those 4.
Yeah. Just floating some names for 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was Dylan Andrews in that mix? I don't
Dylan
think I heard Dylan
Andrews
Andrews.
was not named.
UCLA, Dylan Andrews is in that mix. Yeah.
Dylan Andrews is one I would throw in the mix. Ooh. Jacoby Gillespie at Maryland is one stepping into the Jameer Young role. I would throw into the mix. Jackson Shellstad is my answer of who would be the 5th. Yeah.
I would put both of them in and I'd kick somebody else out, Shellstad and Dylan Andrews.
Yeah, you could do that. I think my 5 would be Braden Smith 1, begrudgingly Dylan Harper 2, but if Kasparis Yakashonis is the 3rd best point guard in the league's in a good spot. I think he might end up 2nd or higher on this list. I'm gonna go Shellstad 4. I'm gonna go Bruce Thornton 5. That would be my top 5. There's a bunch of back and forth that I have to skip because I was fighting Sleeve Nash about Danny Wolf for about an hour in the comments, which I'm not supposed to be doing. Let me scroll. Guy says, "Were my Meet the Transfers tweets satisfactory today?" Yes, they are. Guy is essentially running our socials. I asked him to just do like a little tweeting for us to promote the video series we do. And Guy was like, "Can I just run the socials?" And I was like, "Yeah." So if anything weird happens, blame Guy. And I give the over under 3.5 weeks before we have to at least step in and like pull in the reins a little bit. Because I can sense it from Guy right now. Guy's like, he's feeling the freedom and he's doing a great job of like knowing to play within his role. But we're going to wake up one day where there's just like a 4 a.m. Twitter rant about like Mountain West backups. And I'm going to have to call him and be like, Guy, let's work this out. But good job thus far, Guy. You're doing good. Malik Perry says Danny Wolf played in the Ivy League, but he definitely got talent and look forward to seeing him play no matter what Ashtray says. We're just going to move on. Augie says, what record does this Big Ten themed but, in quotes, but team put up this year? Point guard is AJ Hoggard, but he plays as good as his Vanderbilt price tag. Shooting guard is Fletcher Lawyer, but with 15 more pounds of muscle. Small forward is Brooks Barnheiser, but he doesn't look like a rat. Power forward is Dawson Garcia, but he plays on any other team than Minnesota. And center is Will Berg, but he's not a redhead. 6th man is Jake Davis, but he has a buzz cut. Coach is Jake Diebler, but he always coaches like he did against Purdue. This is one of my favorite comments ever, Brian. Where would they finish in the Big Ten?
They might win it, to be honest with you. Also, like acting like Dawson Garcia has not been at other schools other than Minnesota. We've seen him at virtually every other school other than Minnesota as well. I think that team has a real shot to win the Big Ten.
Yeah, give me Marquette Dawson Garcia again. I think
remember UNC Dawson Garcia?
Wow,
that was a fun month.
I think this team would finish top 4 in the league, mostly because Jake Diebler coaching like he did against Purdue means he's like an unstoppable force. You're doing my guy Brooks Barnhizer dirty though. He doesn't look like a rat. And there were pictures exchanged in this thread of Brooks Barnhizer and a rodent. I'm not into that. Brooks is a handsome guy. We are a pro Brooks Barnhizer podcast. Your Serbian boiler says had to take a moment to unpack the disrespect. But in what way do you view Novak Djokovic as a massive prick or entitled? If it's the interactions with the crowd you're talking about, is a man not entitled to clap back when he succeeds? This glorious Serb has been booed for like 20 straight years in every stadium he has played in, except Melbourne Park, thanks to the surprisingly large Serbian population in Australia. I'll speak to this because I'm the one who was slandering Novak. I don't love that I'm in a spot where I am debating Novak Djokovic with a Serbian person, and I assume your Serbian boiler is a Serbian man. I respect Novak immensely. The fact that he gets booed everywhere he goes should tell you that more people are on my side of thinking he's kind of a prick than on your side of rooting for him as if he's incredible. I think even people that think he's a prick will admit he's the greatest tennis player ever. Like I have no qualms about that. But if you go through the other great tennis players, I don't think people ever hated Roger Federer. People loved watching him pretty much all the time for a bazillion different reasons. Same with Rafa. Novak is not that. Novak is a petty, evil mastermind. And that's what makes him great. Don't get me wrong. Like I don't want a version of Novak that's not that. Because it's not fun. Like he
Right.
played the villain that came up through the other two and overtook them. Like Darth Vader won. The Joker beat Batman. That's what happened. But we don't have to sit here and act like he's this awesome person that everyone loves personality wise. He's not. He's a big competitive asshole jerk guy. And those guys can win. It's great. I don't base this based on just his celebrations. Like you're welcome to celebrate however you want, but it's like he punches down a lot in my opinion. Like if somebody is the 100th rated player in the world and fist bumps too much, Novak will show him up when he beats him. It's like you're the number one player in the world. You're playing the 100th guy. Maybe just act like you've been there before. And look, a lot of people love people that don't act like they've been there. Novak's entitled to do whatever he wants. For me as a tennis fan, it's really fun to watch him get humbled. Like watching Novak have to go to a press conference and sit there, and I give him credit. He said this about Alcaraz. He was like, he kicked my ass in every single way. He was better than me in every possible way. It was like Novak had never seen that before. It's really fun for me to watch because, in my opinion, Novak's ego has been so large. He thought this would never happen, ever. And you're entitled to your own opinion, Serbian Boiler. I'm happy that you disagree, but you're not going to sway me on believing Novak is like an awesome personality to root for. I just don't see it. Milty24, final comment today. Since it's the Open Championship and you have your golf contest coming up, can I get your dream golf group to play with? Mine is Michael Jordan, Jack Nicklaus, and Larry David. So assuming you're one of the four in the foursome, Brian, what's your dream golf foursome?
I think Tiger's got to be in there. I think Michael Jordan has to be in there. I don't want to steal like two of his three with Michael Jordan, Larry David, but imagine golfing with Larry David, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods. Because you have Tiger Woods just being Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan being incredibly competitive against Tiger, and then Larry David just commenting on all of it.
I mean, it would be incredible. There's no bad answer to this question.
There's
Like
not.
it's always a fun thing to think about. Here's why I wouldn't want Michael Jordan or Tiger involved in mine. Those guys are so competitively great that it would mess with me. Like I would just play awful and I would dread it the whole time. Even if it's cool to realize I'm getting torn down by Michael Jordan in person, like I want to have like a fun golf round where I don't feel like people want me to lose and shoot 150. So if I was better at golf, I might feel differently. I think my foursome would start with Steph Curry for that reason because Steph can golf and Steph's also not a guy who's going to make me want to kill myself in the middle of a golf round. From there, it gets interesting, man. I feel like I'm missing some very obvious ones.
Did you throw John Daly in there?
Yeah, like I feel like you gotta actually have somebody from the golf world, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Steph Curry, Max Homa. I think
Okay.
Homa just seems like the most chill, fun, bro-y golfer there is, and most beautiful swing on tour, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go Curry, Homa. Now I got like a state of California thing going on. Tempted to get a third. Um, I don't know. Is it cheating to just say LeBron?
Because you want a relaxing golf round and Michael Jordan, Tiger aren't up, but you're going to bring LeBron.
Well, I think LeBron would be bad at golf, one. So it would make me feel like I'm not the worst golfer there.
And then he'd confiscate all video evidence that he was there being bad.
That's probably true. That's a good point. I'm rocking with that though. That's my answer for now. I think
I'm
that's
gonna
all the
I'm gonna
questions.
change mine. I'm gonna change mine to Greg, Carter, and Riley because I heart sleepers.
I appreciate that. Riley Davis will never golf with us though. He won't be caught dead anywhere away from the coast. All right, that's the comment section. We are brought to you by the good folks at Duncan Mechanical Solutions. Brian, you just let some cleaners into your house.
I did.
Good thing you didn't have to let any heating and air people into your house because your air is in a good spot, I assume, down south.
It's been tested. It's been tested. It's been very hot, but yes.
Well, if you do have any issues, we can see if our guys from Duncan can make a trip south for you. But they serve Northeast Indiana and Southern Michigan. They're an HVAC company. Comfort and quality are the standard, whether it's heating and air conditioning, plumbing, kitchen, bath remodeling, or emergency services when you need them most. Duncan Mechanical Solutions has reliable service that you can count on. If you go to duncanmechanicalsolutions.com and tell them Sleepers sent you, give them the code Sleepers, they will give you 20% off your first order at Duncan Mechanical. Go check that out. The link is in the description of this video. Topic number one today is one I alluded to in the comments. We had a big discussion about where it is easiest to win at in college basketball program wise. So this came from the lovely Doctor, who's our resident Indiana fan, and then everybody else in the Discord was fighting him on this. Doctor insinuated that it is as easy to win at Indiana right now for a coach or anyone you hire as it would be at the current blue bloods of Kansas, Kentucky, etc. This stemmed from like, is Indiana blue blood or not? But it turned into like, well, it's just as easy to win there. Everybody disagreed, including me. I'm like, let's come on. Like this place is turning coaches into bad coaches. It's not just they keep hiring the wrong guy over and over again. But it is a fun question to think, like, if every program in the country was stack ranked, say we plucked Bill Self away from Kansas and put Bill Self on every single program in the country, where would be the easiest for him to win and work down the list? So let's come up with a top 10 on this, but I feel like you're going to give me some great insight here.
So number one, I think, has to be Kansas. Kansas has been playing basketball since the 1800s and has one coach in its history with a losing record. Do you know who that man is?
No, off the top of my head, I don't.
James Naismith.
That's great.
The man who invented the sport is the only coach in Kansas basketball history with a losing career record at Kansas.
That's incredible.
I think the infrastructure is set up well. It's a basketball school. Fog Island is the best place, best home court in the country of all the resources that you need. Yes, like Kansas is not some basketball hotbed, but they have not had an issue recruiting. Kansas is the I think only number one answer you can possibly have.
Okay, I think I agree. I'm obviously not going to fight this. The only one I would put in the same like could be one category, I think, is Duke. Can we have the Duke conversation next? What separates Kansas
We can.
from Duke?
So I have UNC 2 and Duke 3.
Ooh, why UNC ahead of Duke?
The UNC is a state school. Quite frankly, it's public, has more money, has the Jordan brand associated with it. I think the only time UNC has ever really been down was after Dean Smith retired and Matt Doherty, and then you had what's his face? I want to say Bill Guthrie, but I don't know if that's correct. Where the 3 years Matt Doherty was there, and it was a true rebuild, and you could argue he was getting the program back on track when he got fired, and Roy Williams came in and won with his players. Don't need to have that debate. But the big difference between UNC and Duke is the fact that UNC has proven it can do it through multiple coaches. right? Hubert has taken them to the national championship game. Where Williams won national championships, Dean Smith won national championships.
Mhm.
Duke is a very, very good program that I think it's discounted for just being Coach K. And Duke had a long, successful history before Coach K and has been successful in the 2 years since then. But only one man there has won national championships. Like only one man has been to anywhere close to what you would consider a significant amount of Final Fours.
Yeah.
It's been a one coach program, certainly in recent memory.
So you're
Not that Duke isn't one of them, but I think there is more proof of concept with multiple guys having success at Kansas and UNC than at Duke.
my flip on this to you would be what I'm interested in ranking right now, I think, is where is it easiest to win at today? Not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily historically, because I agree with the point on Duke. Like if we go back to the 60s, it wasn't easy to win at Duke, but it's
Yeah,
incredibly easy to win at Duke now in a post Coach K world. I would say probably more than anybody. Honestly, like don't you think you could put any coach on Duke right now with the brotherhood bullshit and that's the easiest place to win?
I do. I don't. And so this is the part
Really?
where the multiple coaches having success comes into play, is because like right now, let's say John Shire stumbles out of the gates, right? And that we saw John Shire do this each of his
Oh,
first 2 years. It's, oh, he's not Coach K. We need to find somebody else, because you are automatically measured up to the greatest coach in college basketball history, right? At UNC and at Kansas, you are not.
okay. Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's like,
It's a
yeah,
shorter leash.
there's just added pressure. Like you're not, yeah, that you're not Coach K. I didn't think of that at all. Okay.
Yeah,
So Kansas 1, North Carolina 2, Duke 3. We feel good on that.
I feel great on that considering it was mine. Yes,
Okay, let's nominate some teams next. In my head, I'm wondering when Kentucky's coming off the board.
I think Kentucky is top five because you have everything that you need. I would put Kentucky at four. I'm having the debate in my head, and I'm curious to know your thoughts of Kentucky or Michigan State.
Whoa. So I have a list right here in front of me. Let me add this out. 7, 8, 9, 10. I only have 12 teams that I have currently in consideration. Maybe you'll blindside me
Okay,
with one and we'll change it. But Michigan State is on the list. But I got to be honest, in my head, I wasn't sure if they would make the top 10. I had them right around the cut line at the bottom. I'm surprised for sure that you would have them ahead of schools like maybe a UConn, maybe a UCLA, maybe a Louisville, maybe in Arizona, maybe even in Indiana. What is it about Michigan State that you think propagates them up?
um, you can make the argument that they're the premier program in the Big Ten. Indiana fans don't want to hear that. Purdue fans don't want to hear that. And again, there are arguments to be made for both of them. But you can make that argument. Michigan State has the passion, has the resources, and everything you need to be up there. And it kind of goes back into too. You have the history. You've had success through multiple coaches. I know Izzo has gotten to the point where, particularly right now, you're going to be compared to Tom Izzo the same way you would get compared to Coach K at Duke. But I think resources wise, recruiting base wise, and your reach, I think Michigan State is underrated in that aspect. Partially because I don't think Izzo has adapted to some of the more modern things that you need to.
Yeah, I'm with you there. The other side of this, to me, the most important part of all this would be resources. Like we can have the what do your
Yeah,
fans expect, how much job security do you have, et cetera part. But to me, it's just like if a good coach steps into all of these, where's he going to have the most resources? And I think Kentucky at 4 is probably a little low in that sense, but it's up there. Michigan State feels like a school that doesn't have resources right now because they're not using them. They do have
correct.
resources. And it's hard to separate the job between Tom Izzo right now. Um, but I think the reality is whenever Tom Izzo steps aside, this school could be one of the top 5 in the country in NIL immediately. Like I know on good record that alums are trying to pony up huge numbers for Tom Izzo, and he just won't play the game. So
Yeah.
I don't hate that. Do we want to go Kentucky 4? I mean, Michigan State 5?
I would definitely go Kentucky 4. I will slide Michigan State down if you'll make an argument for some others that you feel more confident in. I feel very confident about those top four.
So
And I think Michigan State has to be included.
let me have the UConn combo, and then I might make an argument for a few others.
Okay.
What is it that makes UConn such a place that actually is winning? Because if this conversation is like, where's it easiest to win at, the results would tell us it's UConn. 3 different coaches have stepped in
Yeah.
20 years and won titles. But when you step back broadly, it's like they don't have the greatest facilities. I don't think they're spending as much money as anybody. Obviously, history matters, and great coaches have done great there. But am I missing the secret sauce on what actually makes it easy at UConn?
See, I don't think so. And UConn's the one I had a hard time thinking about because of the history that you mentioned. Like they've won 6 national championships in 25 years. Like that's absurd. Absolutely absurd. I do think we're talking about different eras though, and context matters. Like Jim Calhoun at UConn was incredible, and that was I think something you can write off of having repeatable success right now. I think Kevin Ollie's was a little fluky. If we're going to be honest, it was a down year in college basketball, and Shabazz Napier just went off. And I think the last two have more to do with Dan Hurley than the program UConn itself.
Okay.
I think UConn is in the mix for the top 10, definitely top 15. But if you're going to argue for them at 5, I think that's you have to really take into account how much of their recent success is Dan Hurley versus the program itself.
Here's the UConn argument. I think mystique matters now. And if we are doing the where do you go today? Like say Dan
Yeah.
Hurley left for the Lakers
Yep.
and we're plucking again, let's use Bill Self just as our name. If you plucked Bill Self and put him on UConn, the UConn brand now carries so much weight for this new generation again. Maybe,
Yep.
and honestly, there probably wasn't a point even 10 years ago where UConn didn't carry weight, but any high school basketball player that is coming through now associates UConn with the best program in the sport. And I think that has to matter once you get past the big four of Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
UNC, Duke, Kentucky. It's like, who's an elite recruit right now in high school? Let's just use like AJ DeBanza, for example.
Yep.
First year Michigan State coach calls AJ DeBanza. Obviously, he's after money, but he's not associating that program with winning the same way that kids 20 years ago did. UConn kids are.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my only argument. Like I don't have much doubt about where UConn heads whenever Hurley leaves because of the mystique around it and shit. How much we talk to players at the Final Four, former UConn players who are just like, yeah, like we're a family dog. We come back for this shit all the time. All we do is win. Like I think that's a real thing.
I think that's fair. And part of my hesitation, I'm fine putting them up there. I think you've talked me into part of my hesitation is we didn't know how we didn't expect them to fall off when Calhoun left.
Yeah.
And then they did pretty substantially.
Yeah.
And Hurley brought them back, right? And I think it's a testament to Hurley. So I'm not going to say they can't fall off, but it's certainly going to be easy to step in there with the UConn mystique. And UConn is very tight knit. Like I remember reading an article about Kemba Walker when he was making all-star teams with the Hornets about how he still had like UConn bed sheets.
Yeah.
And like his room was still like a UConn shrine, basically. Like UConn people and the UConn alums love UConn and will do anything to support that. So I like that. I could buy them in top 5.
Let's go UConn 5. I'm fine with Michigan State 6. Here's my list of 6 options. I think I already said them, but for the final 4 spots. Alabama, Indiana, Arizona, UCLA, Louisville, Villanova. I think they're all in the same bucket. I think they all have resources. I think Villanova is probably lowest on the resource end except Villanova has money, man. Maybe they're not.
I would cross Villanova off the list. And I have a soft spot for Villanova because my grandpa was a Villanova alum, and that kind of is what got me hooked on part of what got me hooked on basketball, particularly outside of just Duke, UNC, and NC State. But you're going to be compared to Jay Wright. You're going to inherit an absolutely terrible roster without the resources of a conference that has football. I think Villanova is still a good job. I would not put it top 10.
Okay, so Villanova's off the list. If we're actually doing cross another off the list, as I read them out loud, starting to think maybe Alabama doesn't belong because historically, like that's a football job.
Right.
So, like, would that fall more in the Ohio State, Michigan bucket? Right? They have money, and Nate Oates has done a great job, but I don't know.
I would cross Bama off, and I think I might put Florida on.
Florida or like Auburn could be a play, but those can be football schools.
Well, I mean, and Florida is, but Florida has more basketball history, obviously with the back-to-back championships, and I think we're far enough removed from Billy Donovan to where that's not like somebody hanging over the program. And I do think you need another school with just the SEC paycheck in the
Where are you
mix.
putting Florida over from this group of four? Because we still need four. It'd be Indiana, Arizona, UCLA, or Louisville.
Louisville.
Why?
Um,
I think Kenny Payne is just disrupting our brain on Louisville. I think that's an incredibly easy spot to win at.
to a certain point, right? I think it's hard to get from the now. It's hard to go back because it's been about a decade worth of mess at Louisville, just with NCAA stuff as well. Um, but there haven't been that many people recently who are like at a championship level or teams that were at a championship level at Louisville. They had a lot of really good teams in like second weekend, maybe Final Four teams, but not a ton you felt were real legitimate national championship contenders. I think it's easier to do that at a place like Florida where you are going to have some of the SEC money flowing in there that you're not going to have at Louisville. I think Louisville deserves in the top 10, but I'd make the case for Florida maybe at 9 and Louisville at 10.
So we're going to 11 here at this point. Somebody's missing the cut between Florida and Louisville if those are our last two.
UCLA.
You want UCLA out?
I want UCLA out.
Why?
Because you're playing now, you have Big Ten money, but you are playing outside of your footprint. You're competing in your own city for recruits with USC, and I know UCLA should have the cachet recruiting wise of a program that has won as many national championships as they have. But sometimes they don't seem to all the time. Like it still resonates more with people who are in Southern California and that area of the country, but it doesn't resonate nationally as much currently. Their last Final Four berth is when they were an 11 seed. Like they didn't run the Pac-12 at the end the way you would expect that program to. They have not had really consistent success at any point in the last like 2 decades. Again, top 15, not top 10.
Okay. I think the footprint is the reason I'm comfortable moving them down. Like I have questions about how that's going to affect recruiting for kids that don't want to be based in California but playing games in Lincoln, Nebraska. So
exactly.
All right. So that leaves us. We had Kansas, North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, UConn, Michigan State. The four remaining to rank are Indiana, Arizona, Louisville, Florida. Give me the order you want those four in.
I want Arizona at 7.
I like that. Are we positive Indiana deserves to be on this list, by the way?
I was just talking about, I think Indiana, you have the resources, but there is some infrastructure there that makes me think they're probably more 10 than 8.
I agree. And there's someone in the Discord said this, but like, what makes Indiana easier to win at than Illinois right now? I mean, money this offseason, but that wasn't true last offseason.
I think that's a fair debate.
Let's keep them on because I think we need a 10th. It's them or UCLA to me.
And I would rather Indiana than UCLA.
Okay. So how about Louisville 8, Florida 9?
Perfect. I just didn't want Florida.
10.
I didn't want Florida to be 10.
Florida 9, Indiana 10. Only one we haven't mentioned. This is a credit to the coach that we're saying this. How far off is Gonzaga from this list?
High.
Today? Like Mark Few steps down, Bill Self goes to Gonzaga. That's a hard place to win at?
Yes.
I don't think I agree.
To the level that Gonzaga fans expect you to win at. You're going to be
just beat Pepperdine. How difficult is this? Like, if they get to the Big 12, it's a different conversation.
I think this goes into the Gonzaga is still going to run the WCC. Are they going to be as nationally relevant beating the top teams everywhere else in the country as they have been? I think that's the part that Mark Few has mastered that I think it's hard to do.
Sure. Look, it's a credit to Mark Few that we even mentioned them in this exercise, but
Right.
I think I would have them in the next 10 for sure, if not the top 10, which is
I would say
impressive.
top 20. I would say top 25. I would say top
Okay.
25.
All right. All right, that was a fun exercise. Thank you, Rauf, for leading us. It's Kansas, North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, UConn, Michigan State, Arizona, Louisville, Florida, Indiana. In order. Those are the 10 easiest schools to win at in the country. For the love of God, can somebody please win at Indiana then? Summer League player power rankings. Very excited for this topic with you, Rauf. We're just going to go through and basically stack rank. There were people who saw our NBA draft player series, or what was it, the redraft the other day? And people were like,
Yep.
why don't you just do power rankings? It's like, okay, we'll do the power rankings next. That's different. I can promise you Alex Sarr won't be sixth on the list still, like he would be in a redraft when we do power rankings. So I just want to get your top 5 performers from Summer League thus far. Any order you want. Go ahead.
Reed Shepard's got to be number one, right?
He's up there. I don't know that he's absolutely number one, but he is definitely up there.
Who else would you make the case for? I'm interested to hear this. Who else would you make the case for?
Well, Bub just went 2 for 11 or 2 for 12 last night, but I think Bub is on the list. I'll give you my full name of guys I think could be in consideration here. I think Khalil Ware has been awesome. I
Yes, he's on
think
mine.
Tristan Da Silva has been awesome. I think Cam Spencer is somewhere around it. I think Bub Carrington is on it. From there, it gets a little stretchy. If we had seen more Zach Edey, he's probably on it for me. I think Terrence Shannon's not far off. He had 2 great performances.
He was number five. He's number 5 on mine. I just want to make sure you weren't going to have Bronny as your number one.
Bronny is not on the list. Bronny is not on the list.
I would go Reed Shepard 1. I'd go Khalil Ware 2. I would go Bub Carrington 3. I'm trying to take my personal biases of my love for Rob Dillingham out of it. When Terrence Shannon, who did I have it for? I had Terrence Shannon at 5. Who did I have it for? Let me check my list here. But that's my list.
Okay.
Don't connect. I have Don't Connect at 4. I was very happy with the way very happy with the way he's bounced back.
You're putting Connect on there. Okay.
Yeah.
I have 4 of the same names as you, and I have one that I intentionally, strategically did not tell you when you asked me for who my best players are, because he's number 1 on my list, and I wanted to see if you would have him. Number 5 for me is Terrence Shannon. Number 4 is Khalil Ware. Number 3 is Bub Carrington. Number 2 is Reed Shepard. Number 1 is Jordan Miller. Jordan Miller's been absurd in Summer League, man. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't. It's a completely different dude than the guy we watched in college. But I think he's been the best player. Like, I think he's been just an alpha every time he's on the floor. He feels like he can go for 30 any given game. Even with Reed Shepard, all the little things he does on the court, even with Bub Carrington being really explosive, even with Khalil Ware being a walking double-double when he plays Conference USA centers that average 3 and 3, and even with Terrence Shannon's good games, I think Jordan Miller has been the best performer. I believe he's the leading scorer from everybody that's played at least 3 games. 24.8 points a game, shooting 53% from 3, 54% from the floor. He's just been a pure stud. I think he's the MVP of Summer League.
I thought we were going rookies here. We're just going overall Summer League.
Yeah, overall Summer League.
Then Jordan Miller's on the list. Absolutely.
Do you want to put other names on the list now that you know we can
I gotta go through some things now. No, but that's a good shout. That's a good shout.
All right, there we have it. And I want everyone to know it kills me that I couldn't put Zach Edey on this list somewhere. It destroys me. It's time to welcome Brian Rauf into the Sleeper Snake Draft world. This is an honor that has only been bestowed upon me and Carter in the past. You are officially involved in this, and I'm looking forward because I have a feeling, Brian, from knowing you for a couple of years now, I have a feeling you know how to operate a snake draft. That's my guess. I can't hear you right now. We lost. This is bad.
Nope. I had hit the mute button on my mic. That was all it was.
I don't know if that's a tactical ploy or not, but I feel like I'm in a better spot than I was 10 seconds ago now. Here's what we're drafting today. I want to do a college basketball dynasty draft, which, if you're unfamiliar, if you're doing like an actual fantasy league or something, dynasty means things carry over, like a keepers league, essentially. So if you were to draft a player, let's just use some very random names here. If you were to draft, I don't know, Braden Smith, he would have 2 years left, and you would presumably get 2 years of him. If you were drafting Cooper Flagg, you would presumably know that you're drafting him for just one season, the same way you would draft a senior, Samson Johnson from UConn. So I want to keep that into consideration. Obviously, you could build your team completely different. You could say, I only care about talent. I'm going on one and dones. That would be very John Calipari-esque of you, Brian. I doubt you're going to do that. Or you can play the long game and draft some young guys you think might be good 3 or 4 years from now. But I'm very excited. It's your roster versus mine. We'll see who can be a better GM. Do you want the first pick or the second pick? It is a snake draft, and we're doing 8 rounds.
I think I want the second pick. I think I want the second pick.
Want the second pick. Okay. I wasn't ready for the first. I thought for sure you were going to take the first, and now I'm very scared.
I think I have a strategy. I can go first if you would like to. I
No,
think I
I
would
got
still
first.
get.
I got first. You've
I think
landed
I would
on
still get
second.
both guys I want.
You've landed on second. I'm going first. So you have 2 names in mind of who you want.
I do.
God, you scare me. Okay. I'm just gonna trust my gut at 1-1. I'm taking Cooper Flagg.
I
I'm
thought I
taking
could get him at 2.
I'm taking 1 year of Cooper Flagg because I think that's the most unmatchable thing here. And
Yeah.
if you think about it, 1 year of him versus like 1 year of some veteran senior types, it's not that different.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. He was going to be my first pick. I thought him being a freshman and only getting 1 year may be available for me at 2. So I was going to go him and Dylan Harper. So I'm going to go Dylan Harper with my second
Ooh,
pick. I think Dylan Harper is that good and can be that good.
wow.
Um, you threw me off here.
Sorry. I'm not though.
No, we'll stick with the freshman. VJ Edgecombe.
Okay.
We saw what he did in the Olympics for the Bahamas. I think he's going to be an absolute freaking star.
I mean, you're just full blown John Calipariing right now. Are you going to start these guys? Or are you going to bring them off the bench?
I want talent. I want winners.
Okay.
I want people who want to win.
All right. Well, this tweaks the way I'm going about things in a pretty big way with the way you're approaching this. I was going to kind of play the vet game, but if I don't need to play the vet game, I think I can just win the draft with 2 picks right here.
All
I'm
right,
going to
let's
take
hear it.
Mark Sears and RJ Davis.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
I mean, now I'm vetty. Now I'm old, and I'm getting the same years out of my guys as your backcourt.
You were correct. You were correct in that, but I wanted to make sure I got my freshman out of the way early before I went with the dynasty part.
Uh-oh.
I guess I got 2. Um, Scrolling through my list here of who I had down. This kind of goes with the freshman. I'm gonna take this is not. I'm gonna take Aiden Mahaney. I'm gonna take 2.
Oh,
I'm gonna take 2 years of Aiden Mahaney at UConn.
wow.
I think he's gonna be awesome.
Wow.
All the reports out of UConn are that he has been awesome. I think he will continue to be awesome. I think he's great. And then I'm going to take Colin Murray Boyles as a homer pick. Get 3 years of him at South Carolina. I think those could be 3 all SEC caliber seasons.
3 years?
Yeah.
He's not a lottery pick right now?
No.
Are we sure?
Yes.
I think you're trying to project a little bit with that.
I know enough about Colin Murray Boyles to know that he's a very good player, but it would surprise me if he was one and done, or one more season and done.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I don't think you're crazy for that, but he was on my list. I just wouldn't view that as I'm getting 3 years of him, even with him back.
South Carolina might not get 3 years of him, but I think he spends all 4 years of college.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Oh man, my problem is a guy I thought about taking really, really early is still available, but I don't need him now. But I don't want you to get him, but I don't think you need him either. Hmm. I am looking for somebody with multiple years here. I don't like that my team is one and done, even if we're going to clearly win the national championship this year.
Tricked you into
Um,
this now.
no, I like where I'm at still. You know, I'm gonna do something here.
Okay.
I'm gonna take two very versatile big men that I think have multiple years of eligibility left.
Okay.
I'm gonna take Owen Freeman from Iowa,
Okay.
and I'm gonna take Danny Wolf from Michigan.
Okay.
Lock down a front court for at least 2 seasons. Know that I've got room to spare here, and I've got a very old backcourt right now that I like.
In the spirit of sticking with, I think some of the best sophomores in the country, I can get 3 years out of. Um, Give me JT Toppin and Milan Momcilovic.
That's good.
3 years of those guys, I think they'll be stars by the time they're well, they may be stars this year, but definite stars by the time they're seniors. I can get 3 years out of them. I feel good about that.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, I'm gonna take. I'm going Big Ten heavy again. Who gives a shit, Brian? I'm taking. This guy has to be in the draft. 2 years of Braden Smith guaranteed. Just has to be taken. Now, I didn't expect to go Mark Sears and RJ Davis. I thought Braden would be my starting point guard, but so I got a core 2 seasons from now of Braden Smith, Danny Wolf, Owen Freeman. I can work with that and fill in peripherally around there. And Braden Smith might end up starting for me this year, depending on how things go. From there, I'm gonna roll the dice on a guy, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take Kasparis Yakashonis, and I'm gonna hope I get 2 years from him instead of one.
Okay.
Yep. But I'm looking at
Okay.
now. I'm looking 2 seasons from now at a Braden Smith, Kasparis Yakashonis. I have a three that's coming with my next pick. Danny Wolf and Owen Freeman front court. I can rock with that.
Do I have one more pick or three more picks? I can't remember.
You have two more
I have
picks.
three. I have two more picks.
Two more.
Two more. Okay. Um, I think I need some point guards here. I don't think I've really drafted point guards. I know Dylan Harper is in there. I'm gonna go with Josh Hubbard, Mississippi State. Awesome, awesome guard. Productive scorer. Um, who was the other guy I had? Oh yeah, Walter Clayton Jr. I know I'm only getting 1, maybe 2 years out of him. I think he's only got one more year eligibility left, but I think there's a chance he's an All-American this year for Florida.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I've also just talked myself out now that you're out of the running on this. My last pick was going to be Rylan Griffin, and I was going to lock in 2 years of him and be happy. I have scrapped Rylan Griffin because watching you take 2 point guards made me realize I want 3 years of Malik Mack. I'm taking 3 years of Malik Mack. So yeah, my future lineup now becomes Braden Smith, Malik Mack, Kasparis Yakashonis, Danny Wolf, Owen Freeman. Your year two lineup essentially is what? Mahaney, Toppin, Murray Boyles, Momcilovic, and Hubbard.
Yep.
A good team. All right.
No size, lots of scoring.
So to summarize our two teams, the dynasty draft, I went Cooper Flagg, Mark Sears, RJ Davis, Owen Freeman, Danny Wolf, Braden Smith, Kasparis Yakashonis, Malik Mack. You went Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, Aiden Mahaney, Colin Murray Boyles, JT Toppin, Mila Momcilovic, Josh Hubbard, Walter Clayton Jr. No Hunter Dickinson taken in this draft. You okay with that?
Just 1 year. Yeah. I think that's fine. Like I think the 1 year guys you take the high upside NBA freshman, essentially.
Yeah, I'm with that.
I think you wipe the floor with me this year, but I wipe the floor with you the next two.
Ooh, we're gonna have to test this one to the socials, Brian. We'll see. One big thing presented by Duncan Mechanical Solutions. What you got, Rauf?
I want to give a shout out to Home Field, both a shout out and a negative. I just got my dynasty pack from Home Field, which, by the way, if you use promo code REPORT, you can get 15% off your first order. So make sure you do that. I've ordered a number of different things from Home Field. I was going through my clothes today, and I realized a majority of things I own are Home Field. So shout out Home Field. I have this fantastic Fighting Gobblers Virginia Tech shirt on right now. But I do also have a bone to pick with them. They're fantastic shirts. I love them. I've ordered 2 mystery pack things from them that are lots of fun. I did around the NCAA tournament with the March Madness pack and then the Dynasty pack for the release of the college football video game. Brought up on this podcast before, from a basketball perspective, I try and stay as neutral as possible. I think I do a really good job of that. I root for myself to be right more than I root for like my alma mater, South Carolina, to be good or anything like that. I root for myself to be right. My allegiance is to myself. That's not the case on the football side of things. Football side of things, I am a hardcore South Carolina football fan. In these mystery packs, I've received Clemson and Georgia shirts that I'm never going to wear. I don't like those. If I want mystery packs, I want good, fun, like mid-major, lower level shirts with like cool mascots that are fun. I don't want blue bloods that I hate.
Okay, that's a very
I
fair
want home
pick.
I want home field to be better with your mystery packs.
That's a very fair bone to pick. I respect it. All right, my one big thing presented by Duncan Mechanical is I just want to warn anybody listening to this before the weekend, which is nobody because this doesn't drop until Monday. I have an all-time wedding outfit dropping on the gram roughly Saturday evening around 6 p.m. Mark your calendars, set your alerts. This is, in my opinion, in the words of my wife, the best outfit you've ever worn, bar none.
Oh my gosh.
Mark your calendars, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.